and I actually joined Stagecoach. It's the most basic origin story, I'm going to be honest.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Tom Sits into Conversation, episode number 12. This week on the podcast I have Emily. Emily is one of our friends that we know in real life. She was first friends with my girlfriend Joy, and they used to work together. Emily is a dancer. She works for a company called Sprung, which you'll get to hear a little bit more about. This episode was recorded back kind of in early January, so we were still in a full lockdown. In this conversation, we talk a bit about how she got into dancing. We talk about the company she works for, Harley Sprung, and some of the amazing work that they do. If you are listening to this podcast and not watching it, then I would definitely recommend heading over to YouTube or my Instagram and checking out the end of the video, because I'll put clips in of her performance and her rehearsals as well, which are amazing to watch. So I would definitely go and check those out if you are listening, and if you're watching, then stay tuned to the end because that's where you'll find those clips. I will be back in the middle of the episode with just a little update from Emily herself, and then I'll be back at the end with just a little bit more chat. But for now, we step into the conversation with me asking where she's from.
Yeah, lovely Brighton in the south, and I moved into Coventry actually pretty much 4 years to the day. I think it's two days ago, yeah. Wow. So 4 years I've been here now in Coventry.
Nice. How do you find it?
Do you know what? I love it. And I'll be completely honest, when I first moved here, I was like, what have I done? Where's the sea? What's going on? But no, I've really, really grown to love it. I think it gives loads of great opportunities, and it's just such a lovely place. And everyone is so nice. That's the biggest thing about it, I think, that everyone's really lovely.
That's cool. Nice. I've lived in Rugby, which isn't too far away, and then recently moved to Coventry with Joy. Yeah, how was it living in Brighton? Because Joy and I often fantasize about moving down to Brighton.
Yeah, it is great. It's very expensive to live. So I don't think I'm going to be there anytime soon. It is lovely. It's funny, I think, no matter where you grow up, even if it's the loveliest place in the world, you want to get away from it, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, your childhood's kind of in all the buildings and memories and everything. So I think I wanted to branch out, but I do love Brighton, and I quite enjoy going back as a tourist, to be honest. I think I get all the good bits. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very different feel to the kind of dance art scene up here and down there. And I don't know, there's something very welcoming about it up here, and something kind of, we're all in it together. I think it's because it's smaller.
Yeah.
And, Brighton's so established.
Yeah, Brighton is very, they've got a lot of, a big art and dance. And what's the really big, they've got loads of, colleges and stuff and universities for performing arts, don't they? So they have probably a lot of people, I would guess lots of different groups, and it's probably hard to become a bit more established as a artist.
Yeah, I'd say so. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of dancers in Brighton, and yeah, it's just bigger. And I think there's a lot of dance happening in the big venues, big theatres. I think to start as a grassroots person, people do it. Great for them, good. I just found it a bit trickier, so I found my way here. And I think as well, I think I just needed that separation from it. I think that's what it was. I worked in a theatre when I was there. I went back there for a year after uni, before I came up here, and I had the best time working in a theatre, just as an usher and a bar person. It was great. But yeah, I think I needed the kind of geographical distance a bit to find myself away from where I grew up. So yeah, but I love it.
Oh, nice. How did you get into dancing?
I got into dancing in the classic way. I was 3 years old. Yeah, I was. Sorry, it's the classic. But I was a really shy child. People find it weird when I say that now, but I was a really, really shy child, and I used to hide behind my mum's legs whenever I met anyone new. So I think they're a bit like, right, let's get her out and doing stuff. And I actually joined Stagecoach. It's the most basic origin story, I'm going to be honest. Stagecoach and baby ballet. And then from there, I just did it all the time, every Saturday. And then I did a bit of ballet, a bit of tap. But I really, really got into it when I was 15. So I did GCSE dance, and that was when contemporary dance kind of came into my sphere. Contemporary dance in Brighton now, I think, has a bigger network, and there's more opportunity for young people to get into dance through youth groups and stuff. But when I was younger, it wasn't really a thing, or at least I didn't come across it. So, yeah, it was that for me. And then I just carried on through, went to uni, and yeah, that's how I got into it.
Amazing. What uni did you go to?
The University of Chichester. It's the best.
Nice. Cool. And you
It
studied
is great.
dance as like a whole? Do they do like how is
Mm.
that?
Well, it's different now because I'm old. But no, it was a dance BA that I did, and that was kind of an all-encompassing contemporary dance BA. And I wanted to go there because there was loads of different options. So you kind of start really broadly in the first year, and then you get to kind of hone it down as you go through. So by my third year, I was doing mostly choreography and some performance work, which was awesome. And then I did my MA there as well. So I did MA choreography and professional practice.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That sounds really cool.
it's great.
Um,
It's lovely.
let's go into we'll talk a bit about like pre-COVID times, and then we'll kind of
Mhm.
like move into like how things are kind of now. But how have you found it being in Coventry?
So when I moved to Coventry 4 years ago, I moved in with my boyfriend and his parents, which was lovely. And I was kind of like, I don't know anybody here. I'm completely green, keen, new, don't know what to do. So I found museums, and this is where I met Joy. I found the Herbert and the Coventry Transport Museum, and I started there as a sessional. And that was my kind of first, like, well, it wasn't really my first job. That was kind of my like main job when I first came here. But what actually brought me here was that one. I met an amazing company called Highly Sprung, and I've been working with them for a little bit while I was in Brighton, kind of going back and forward, doing little gigs and stuff. And then they offered me to audition for their new show called Tree, which was an amazing piece. It was beautiful. It was based around this big tree structure, which had bungee on it. So it was aerial bungee. You're kind of strapped in and you jump around and you can do all these crazy jumps and leaps and things. And they asked me to audition for that, and I got it, which was awesome. So I had to go up for a month to here to do my rehearsal. And I didn't leave after the month. So that's when I got the job at the museums. It's all a bit confusing, but it all ran along the same time because obviously I needed some money. But yeah, and it was just really nice to get straight into being in the cultural kind of sector. And I got to meet loads of lovely people who I think still work there now at the CTM and Herbert. So yeah.
Amazing. Let's talk a little bit about Harley Sprung then, because I know bits about it, but I don't know too much. But so,
Okay.
How would you describe it?
Okay, so Highly Sprung are awesome. They are a physical theatre company, and we make work predominantly for children and young people, and do work with children and young people as well. So we do performances. We have loads of different performances that tour every year. We have, well, not last year, but every year otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'm involved in lots of those. And our work is quite kind of morally minded, I'll say. So we take on big subjects and, you know, make a statement about it. So Urban Astronaut is probably what we're best known for, and that's about air pollution, about finding a journey back to looking after the world. I've also been involved in a show called Roots, which was just lovely and so close to my heart, which was about kind of welcoming refugees. It was made around the same time as the Brexit referendum happened. So yeah, that's another amazing one. And we've got a new one coming up this year, which is awesome, called Castaway, which is all about pollutions in waterways and rivers in England. And that is a lot of fun. I get to spin around in the air.
Nice.
And I'm a mermaidy, water nymphy, lovely river spirit. It's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then we also do lots of work in schools. I think there's like two kind of chunks of what the company do. So we do loads and loads of work in schools, in Coventry, nationally. I actually taught in China for a month with them as well. And yeah, we do lots of physical theatre workshops, but we also do kind of learning the curriculum through physical theatre. And most recently, we've done this incredible project with Echo Eternal and Core Education in Birmingham, which is incredible because it's a commemorative project for the Holocaust. So we have testimony from survivors of the Holocaust that have been gifted to schools, and then various artists go in and help that school create a response to the testimony, and we're one of the artists part of that, and it's kind of grown from there. And Sarah Worth, who's the director, one of the directors of Highly Sprung, she now is in charge of all the amazing events and things that happen with the Horizons Festival, which is a yearly festival that happens as a commemorative Holocaust thing. So I'm rambling, but it's awesome, and I love it.
That sounds amazing. And I know, because I've been very fortunate that I've been able to see you kind of perform, and you do some like amazing aerial work, which like I had no idea that's what you guys. I feel like you kind of specialize that in a little bit now, because like you're working on different like techniques, and are you working with designers and to create these structures that you can work on?
Yeah, so we have lots of different rigs and structures and lots of different people that help us to make them. We have Entify, who are a kind of engineering company, engineering, making amazing things company. And they've made the rig this time round. And they haven't made it. They make the costumes and stuff. We've got a different engineering company, I don't know the name, that made the most recent one. And there's an amazing designer as well in Warwick. Again, I'm awful, I can't remember the name, but his name's Nick, and he's awesome, and he was part of designing parts of Hogwarts Castle, and also did some stuff for Star Wars that I couldn't name because I don't watch it, sorry, but which is awesome. But yeah, they've kind of helped to make and engineer the works. It all comes from the heads of Sarah and Mark, who are the directors, who are awesome. And they basically imagine these great things up and then contact engineers, and they go, okay, we'll see if we can make that. But the aerial side of it is really untraditional aerial. So I kind of call myself an aerialist, and I have done some more traditional aerial, but it's not the same. We kind of take traditional aerial techniques and then it's made completely anew for these structures. So you're kind of learning a completely new technique each time you've got a new rig, and it's kind of a conversation between you and the rig. You have to work it out for yourself a little bit. It's based off traditional aerial, but it doesn't work the same because you're usually spinning around or moving or doing something completely different.
Yeah, because it's not just it's a movable structure as well, isn't it? Because I've seen the Urban Spaceman one. What's it called? Sorry. Yeah, I saw that, and I think your partner AJ? He was the astronaut. I think when I saw
he was for one of it.
Yeah, I saw him perform, and these structures, they kind of move, I was going to say through the crowd, but you obviously have a certain route so crowd can't get too close, but they kind of you kind of move, and it's like it's not just like a static thing, it's very intricate and it's quite impressive.
Yeah, it is really spectacular. And that's kind of Highly Sprung's thing is they have these amazing ideas, these amazing just incredible ideas, and then they come to life. And I think where traditional aerial is incredible, I think it's limited and quite static quite a lot of the time. I'm not saying it always is, but it can be, unless you're in kind of Cirque du Soleil level and have loads of money. But basically it's just their incredible imaginations, and they really want to take it to a new place. And I think the spectacle allows for audiences to stay and absorb the narrative, the message that we're getting across. So it's kind of a spectacle in hand with sending our message out and making sure that audiences are engaged. But yeah, audiences don't always get out of the way. There's been a lot of audiences getting in the way, especially of Urban Astronaut, as I'm sure Mark and AJ will say. There's people that just kind of stand staring, and it's like, okay, if you do just stay there, we can't move through you.
Yeah, I can imagine people just like staring at their phones and going, oh, and then they're like just get knocked over.
Yeah, awestruck a little bit. Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah, I like the fact that your dance and this kind of is also kind of political. You're also trying to help make awareness of like quite significant problems that we do have. But it's a more kind of learning and engaging kind of way than just standing on a stage somewhere. If you read out the same message of like the idea of the dance, it might not come across as well. But I think a lot more people are a lot more like, oh, what's that? And you're telling a story. I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's why I love working with them, and it filters through into our school's work as well. It's kind of like you feel that you're properly making a difference. And you're right. So we perform outdoors quite a lot, mostly at arts festivals, and that's often in town centres or in like greens in towns and cities. And so people don't necessarily buy a ticket to be there. They're there because they're walking through the park or they're walking through town and they see us and go, "Oh, what's that? We've appeared." And then you reach an audience you would not normally get, audiences that don't actually engage in the arts quite a lot, quite often. We've been to some really interesting places. We went to one of the places that was voted the highest percentage of Leave voters for the EU referendum, and we took Roots, the one about welcoming refugees, up there. So I was a little bit nervous for that one. However, at the end, the response was just incredible. This woman came over to me, and I can't remember where she said she was from, but she had migrated over here from Europe, and she was crying, and she said, "Thank you so much for doing this. Like this place needs this. Like, I need people to see this, and it's so important." Equally, I get children watching Urban Astronaut who really invest in the story. There's a part of it where my character Hope, she has some little seedlings that have grown, and I asked the children to kind of look after them and protect them. And the boys in the piece, they come over and start trashing this set, and they try and take the little plant, and some of the kids get so protective over it. They're like, "No, this is my plant. You're not going to get this." And at the end, they come over and they're like, "Thank you so much, and I really want to recycle, and I really want to be careful with what I'm doing." And you see in real time the effect it's having on people.
That's amazing. Again, if you were just like standing on a podium in the centre of town, a lot of people would have just walked on by and tried to ignore that. But doing something that's a little bit different and engaging, you probably would have had a much bigger crowd than if you were just standing on a plinth somewhere. So
I think doing it through the vessel of performance, though, performance appeals to your humanity. You're watching it because you want to feel something and because you finding it spectacular. And when you get to understand a character's narrative and you're with them through that journey, you connect to them. And once you've connected to them and invested in them emotionally, it's really hard to draw that back. And so I think you're connecting to people's humanity quite directly when you're performing. It isn't the same as just spouting and talking and saying. You're communicating with them on a very different level. It's on a much more human level, human plane.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really hope that you're enjoying this episode with Emily. Please make sure you remember to like and subscribe and follow me wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. Now, here is a little update from Emily.
Hey, a little update on what I've been doing since we recorded the podcast. I am now full-time with Highly Sprung, which is really exciting. I get to do all the work I was doing before with performance and teaching, but I also now get to work with schools really closely and really build those relationships up with the company. And also I get to make my own projects with schools and young people, so that's really, really exciting, and I'm so happy for the opportunity. We're also in the middle of rehearsal at the moment, so last week we did a whole week recreating the show Urban Astronaut to go out on tour this year, and this week and for the next 2 weeks we are remaking and making Castaway. We had R&D last year for that, and now we have 3 weeks to really make it and get it all ready for the summer, and that is going to be part of Coventry City of Culture 2021, which is really exciting. So there's lots of lovely hopeful things happening. 2021 is looking up, and I hope it is for all of you as well.
Thank you, Emily, for the little update. Now we sit back into the conversation with me asking how COVID has affected things.
Well, COVID came in last March, obviously, as everyone knows. And it came right in the middle of a project we were doing with schools, so it kind of cut that in half. And we continued doing it online. That was the first time we were completely like, what do we do? This whole online thing wasn't a thing at that point. We were like, so we literally recorded the rest of the project in our homes, in our gardens, because it was quite warm, and sent it out to the schools and tried to get it back on track that way. And I think that's quite a good kind of example of how this year has been in general. I think that Highly Sprung are the most resilient company. They're just incredible. The level of resilience is incredible, because everything that we've done from there on has been just adapting, flexing with what's happening. We're in lockdown, we're not in lockdown, blah, blah, blah. So we've had a mixture of doing projects online. Our youth groups, our sprungs, they've all gone online on Zoom until we're allowed back in which case we meet up for one or 2 weeks where we can, and then the government changes it again. So, but that's been incredible. We have a yearly festival called the Physical Fellowship, which happens in the Belgrade Theatre, and it's a really, really big deal. It's been going for years and years. And obviously last year it couldn't happen. So the Physical Fellowship Unlocked became a thing. And that was a completely digital version of the festival. And Mark and Sarah worked so incredibly hard to get that off, and edited and filmed themselves, and just spent hours and hours doing it. And I was there to support, but that was really them. That was they're incredible. So they still made it happen. In between, we've still been able to do some projects. So funnily enough, in 2019, we did a show called Transmission, which is about viruses and about bacteria. And mostly that year was about antimicrobial resistance. So the importance of not overusing antibiotics, because it's becoming less effective. And we were commissioned to make that, as it's becoming a bigger issue, and they wanted to see how the arts can kind of help people to understand important things. And understand not to overuse antibiotics. But the next year, COVID-19 happened. So we have Transmission Gone Viral, which is a dance film all about COVID-19. And we work with scientists on both projects from Coventry University and Warwick University, virologists, and I don't even know what they're called, but scientists to do with viruses and bacteria, who are incredible and the most knowledgeable people. They're just great. And we worked with them, and we created this amazing dance film, which you can find on the Highly Sprung Instagram as well. And that was great, because we were in the studio for 2 days, I think. And I hadn't been in the studio for months. And I remember we walked into the studio and we looked at it, and we were just like, and we were running around just having the best time. We're like, a space to move, because we've been doing Zoom classes and moving around in our bedrooms. It's just not the same. So that was joyous. And then we obviously also were able to R&D, research and develop Castaway, which is a new show which will be happening this year for Coventry City of Culture. So I was incredibly lucky to still have some things to do. And I'm internally grateful to Highly Sprung for, keeping it going online and in person as much as we can. But yeah, now it's all moved to kind of online stuff. So we're just launching a new project in schools called Ready Box Set Go, which is a digital offering to schools, which is delivering our projects remotely. So we're doing kind of digital leading alongside giving teachers lesson plans across a plethora of different subjects and creative things, and they can do it in the schools. And so that's kind of our new angle, is that we're in schools, but we're not physically in the school.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's such a good idea as well, because obviously you can't really get into schools now, especially as we're recording this, we're in another national lockdown and schools aren't allowed to open either. So are they still able, are the kids still working? I'm guessing they're still doing online classes at the moment.
Yeah, everyone's on online classes right now, pretty much, unless it's vulnerable children or children of key workers. So it's a different thing. And obviously, as a third party person that goes into a school, that's not a thing at the moment at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're not allowed to be in schools, but we just have to find a way. And I think that's been the attitude of the last year. We've got to find a way, some way or another.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I think physical moving and actually doing something creative is so important to like for everyone to learn as well.
Yeah, I think kids miss it as well. I mean, we're so stuck in these little boxes now that it's hard to move. It's difficult. And yeah, this new project, it kind of spans between Key Stage 1 to Key Stage 5. So that's like, reception up to college age. And we're kind of hoping it's like a good bridging project. So the kids, when they come back into school, hopefully at the beginning of March, it'll be an easier transition for the teachers because they'll have some lesson plans set out. And like you said, it's a movement, creative-based thing. So it isn't straight back into this kind of curriculum learning. They've got a bit of a breather with this project. So that's what we're hoping for, to make it a bit easier for everyone involved and keep the creativity, because I just think it's so hard at the moment, and kids just need to express themselves a bit. They're just so trapped. So
yeah, and it has been proven like physically moving and doing a bit of exercise is so much, like, it's really good for your mental health as well. And I think especially like our generation, like the emphasis on mental health is a lot more prominent. Like there's a lot more people actually talking about it, and hopefully it's a little bit more like more known for this younger generation that's kind of brought up as well. And I think doing something physical like dancing, I mean, we go for walks with the dog, which is like our physical thing, but yeah, it's just really important for people's mental health to try and stay busy and active and stuff.
Yeah,
so
movement has kept me alive this last year. I mean, I'd normally be dancing. That's my main type of exercise I'd normally do. But in the last year, I've got really into running, which I never thought was going to happen. I hated it. I hated running so much. And my partner, AJ, he is such a good runner. And I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. He's so good at it. Anyway, I was like, no, do you know what? I'm going to do it. So I ran my first 10K the other week.
Amazing.
So proud of myself.
That's awesome.
I'm enjoying it now. You're right. It helps your head just relax. And we've been going out for walks every day as well. We've got some great countryside near us, so we've been walking there. And it just, we call it brain flossing. So it like flosses your brain out, cleans it out when you're feeling a bit stressed, anxious. Yeah, just kind of resets you a little bit. You're right. You need it.
Yeah, it is really good. Do you run together then, or do you run separately? Because I don't know if you're like, if he's a really good runner, do you like just go? Oh, I'll go my way, so you don't have to try and keep up. Because he's really tall as well, and you are quite a bit really shorter.
I'm a whole foot shorter, foot and an inch. Yeah. Well, we do run together. Yeah, we run together more often than we don't. But if he decides he wants to go on some crazy, I don't know, over 12K, I'm like, I'm just going to stay here and you can go. But yeah, no, we do run together, and I've been getting faster because he's a great teacher. But yeah, in December he did a 100K in a month, and I was like, I think I did 40 out of that 100, and I was like, bye, enjoy yourself. But I think, for us, it's the getting out together is like a really nice way of doing something together, and also feeling we're both kind of, okay, we're in the day, we can get on with it, we can do stuff. So yeah, it's a mixture of both. It's fun.
That's cool. Joy got a ring fit for her Switch, so we've been doing like the exercise with the Switch, which
nice.
Joy did a couple, and I was like, okay, I'll just watch. And I saw it, and it looked really fun. So I've started getting into it now as well. So that's like, it's actually got me exercising, because I'm kind of rubbish at exercising. I like the idea of going for a jog, but practically I'm rubbish at it.
That's the whole thing with exercise, though. You can't push yourself to do what you don't like. You have to find what makes you motivated and want to do it. Like, if someone said to me, Emily, you're going to go to the gym and lift weights, I'd say, no, absolutely not. It's boring. I don't enjoy it. So, in my opinion. But, if I'm going to go and do a yoga class or a dance class, or now going on a run, I'm like, cool, yeah, great, I'll do that. But you've got to find your spark, I think if you force yourself to exercise, it's not your friend. Yeah. It's not good.
I mean, I know that like knitting for me is kind of like my form of meditation. So like some people might be into yoga and have that like mindfulness. I get that from knitting, and I get to sit in my bed and do that. So
Dreamy.
yeah, so I feel like it's quite. I mean, we go on 2 fairly big walks with our dog anyway. So I feel like I'm getting my kind of daily exercise a bit anyway, and then trying to do the ring fit every now and again. But yeah,
Yeah. Walking's great. Walking is exercise for your mind and your body. I think it's great.
yeah, especially if you've got a dog dragging you as well. It's good arm workout as well.
Especially that, yeah. Oh, and you've got such a lovely dog. She's so cute.
She is. At some point, when the world's not on fire, we should hopefully be able to go on another walk again.
I know, that'd be nice, wouldn't it, when we're allowed?
Yeah, and the weather's a bit nicer as well. I mean, it's probably going to be the spring when we potentially can go outside.
Yeah. Oh goodness, that's quite depressing, isn't it? Oh, it's just gotta something to look forward to.
What other hobbies do you have?
I've collected a couple this year. My other hobbies, I think, well, obviously there's dancing, which I do professionally and then in my house when I fancy it. And I've gotten really into doing, is it macrame? I don't know how to say it.
I think it depends on who you ask. I think they're both fine.
I'm going to call it macrame and sound really posh, but that's what I call it. Yeah, so I've been doing lots of plant holders, and I made myself a little jewellery holder, which was nice. And I've also got really back into sewing. I used to sew a lot when I was younger. I've made 1 million cushions, and
Nice.
and I'm working on masks now because, resourceful. I've also bought some I also bought some fabric to make a skirt.
Awesome.
Which I'm a bit scared of, so I haven't started that yet, but it's there. And I got a little sewing bag for myself. Also really into cooking. Really love cooking. I think I blow my own trumpet. I'm pretty good.
Nice.
And I love baking as well. So I've been doing all the fun stuff. And we bought our house in October 2019. So although it was weird that no one's really seen our house because no one's been able to come up, but it has been good, in fact, that we've been doing it up. So that's also been part of our kind of hobby, is painting lots of furniture, putting up shelves, planning how it's going to
gives you a bit more time to actually do that stuff, because I reckon, like, we've got friends who have, they've recently bought a house and they've not been able to have, I don't think they would have had anyone over anyway because they were doing so much work. So you probably wouldn't have had many people coming over to see the house at the moment anyway, because you want to make sure that it's done before they come over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although in the beginning in 2019, we had friends come up and help us paint, which was really nice. Actually, this wall was painted by our friends as well. But yeah, I know it is strange because even my parents have only seen it a handful of times. They haven't been able to come up. So yeah, but I think having the time is really nice.
Yeah.
We've got quite a bit done here, which is lovely.
Yeah, it's about just making the most of this time and seeing it as a bit of free time. But how do you find it to kind of get focused on working? Like, do you set yourself time to this is work, or how do you work in these kind of crazy times?
Do you know what? It's taken us so long to get to a good place. I think being somebody who's so used to having very different weeks, doing lots of different things, being in different places, different countries, different projects every week, putting myself in a routine was really, really hard. And I think me and AJ, we both kind of rejected it a bit. We were like, what is this? So yeah, we've now set ourselves a structure where we'll work from 9 till 5 to 6 as much as possible. Sometimes it spills over, things are busy, but we try to. And for me, it's about having a routine in the morning. So I try not to deviate too much off that. And then making sure we get out once a day for a walk, because I will get to a point where I'm like, no, I've got too much to do, I can't go out. And he's like, Emily, you need to go out. And I come home and I'm so much more productive. So as long as we follow those kind of sticking points in the day, it's okay. But yeah, I need routine to anchor myself. Otherwise I go a bit I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so not used to being in one place every day. It's just really unnatural for me.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. I'm not working at the moment. I'm on furlough. Because I can't really do my work from home. Working in a cafe. But trying to keep myself occupied and busy, and I'm trying to organise it into like, while Joy's working, this is the time I'm working, and then I'll do a little bit of knitting in the evening or something while watching TV. So yeah, I can imagine if it's your actual work, it's quite difficult to like try and separate work and home time because we're all at home.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm really lucky. This is actually our spare room that I'm in now, and we kind of use it as an office space. I'm on a desk. And more recently, actually, I've been like, okay, when I leave this room, I shut the door. I'm done. Like, I need to try and get that separation, otherwise I just can't sleep and can't do anything else. So yeah, you're right. You need to have like a physical separation of work and home because it does merge. And I went through a bit of a time with, because it's comfier, doing work on the sofa, which was not a good idea because then I was like, oh no, I can't stop. I need to carry on working till like midnight. And it's like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it takes a while, but I think you just got to do what works for you, haven't you?
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching or listening to this podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If this is your first time to the podcast, go and check out the other episodes. We're on season 2 now, so there's a whole first season for you to go and check out. Yeah, so a few little updates. The UK is starting to open up a little bit more. The rules are starting to slacken a little bit, and hopefully soon we should be able to meet more people. We should be able to go into restaurants and cafes inside, which would be quite exciting. So with that, I will be hopefully working a little bit more and back to full-time soon, which I'm looking forward to. It does mean it's going to be harder to do more episodes. I would really like to know whether you would like to see or hear another season of this podcast. There's plenty of people out there that I would love to talk to. Finding time is just a little bit harder now that people are starting to get back into work and back into having a life outside the home. But if people want to keep listening to it, then I will find time to create another season. I'm also in talks with a friend about starting a new podcast, and more information about that will be coming out on my Instagram. So if you're not already, go and check out my Instagram. Make sure you give me a follow. Because hopefully I'll have more information about that and potentially other seasons and episodes for this podcast as well. I really hope that you're all doing well and staying safe. I'll be back next Friday with episode 13 where I talk to Phoebe. Have a great week, everyone, and I will see you soon.